and he's attached with Manipal University College, Malaysia, as a professor in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Has been Toastmaster for more than 8 years. Very impressive and motivational for everybody. And he served various excom roles in club and at club and at district level. He organized many workshops at a district level. He has done DTM in his legacy program and pathway program. He's an accredited HRDC trainer and John Maxwell certified speaker and trainer. Without further ado, may I request Dr. Som to come forward and take over.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ravindra. Wow, I was listening to the the introduction about each of you. I've met quite a few of you here, DTM Lisa, DTM Raghu, and this is my second time here in ABCS. The last time I was doing some other session. So it's great to be back here, and thank you, DTM Raghu, for the invitation. Now, when we talk about impromptu, I think only one person, that is Lovepreet, said, I'm quite cool with impromptu. I want to do with the planned speeches. I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. Because we always find that the impromptu is pretty daunting because it's same as the planned speeches, but it's a squashed form. Like I often call it the bonsai version of a planned speech, because you have everything that is there in the planned speech, but the thought process has to be instantaneous. So other than Lovepreet, probably, I want you to write in the chat box, how many of you have cold feet or like really get scared when someone asks you to do some impromptu speaking? Can you just type 1 if you feel that you get scared, and 2, no, I'm not scared. The chat box. Lovepreet, I expect a 2 from you. Thank you. Correct. Now, what happens? Thank you very much. Not anymore. Yeah. What happens is, after some time, you realize that, I can think about it. I can manage it. I can handle the stress. Many times in our schools, we had this thing called, I don't know if you have this, because I studied in Calcutta, or Kolkata as it's called now. So we had this school events called HAM, ham, or JAM, jam. I don't see anyone nodding their head. Okay, thank you, Jayaprakash, you're nodding. It's called half a minute or just a minute. That means you go and you'll be just given, you pick a topic and something like table topics, but not so elaborate, and you have to talk about it. Those used to be nerve-wracking. I'll tell you a secret of mine. Back when I was in standard 1, and me and another student, that's both of us, me and her, another girl student, we were supposed to do an elocution. We stood on the stage, and the curtain was slowly opening. And as the curtain opened, I saw the crowd, and I ran away from the stage. And the poor girl had to stand there and do the entire elocution all by herself. So I can tell you that impromptu speaking can also create that effect. Now, the problem is with impromptu speaking is not that we don't know what to talk. Many times when you meet one-to-one and say, hey, what do you think about this? Like any opinion-based topic, when someone asks you, you're quite able to answer them. But the moment you see 10 people standing in front of you or sitting in front of you, and the same question is asked to you, you feel like, uh-oh, if I say what I feel, I might be judged. And because of that, you tend to get nervous inside and do not express your opinion. So that is something which makes the impromptu speaking so daunting, in my opinion. Now in ABCS, I love that thing. Anybody can speak. But similarly, I just refer what Sajia mentioned, that I speak fast. And that's why people might think I'm nervous. in table topics or impromptu speaking, that's exactly happens. When you try to squeeze in a lot of stuff, you tend to appear that you're speaking fast and at times nervous or disorganized. So thank you, Stazia, for that point. Now, I'll just share a couple of slides, not too many, to just give you some points. And I think that's me. It's a very big name. So that's why I shortened my name to this. And my club is MUCM Toastmasters Club, and Alto, I'm from District 102. MUCM is the Manipal Club, which is a university club, and Alto is an advanced club. So this is what I'm going to talk to you today. What is impromptu speaking? That's what I'm talking right now. I will teach you one trick. There could be many. If you put a Google search, you'll find plenty, but I'll teach you one approach to impromptu speaking, which will help you probably to handle the table topics in Toastmasters. And if you wish to go for the contest, then maybe for contest as well. And then I'm going to talk about the relevance of this impromptu speaking in Toastmasters life and in general. And in general, I just focused on one thing called the elevator speech. Some of you may have heard about it, but I'm going to talk about that. And then we end up with a Q&A, and then we end the session, and then you'll have a practice session where you go into the various breakout rooms, and I'm sure the coordinators will give you some examples to do. Right. When I talk about impromptu speaking, I said like it could be just an opinion based, right? So let me pick Lovepreet, and I'm going to give him a topic, and let's hear, I'm going to give him just 1 minute, only 1 minute, Lovepreet, to tell me this question. I'm going to repeat this question twice for you. What is your ideal vacation? A hill station or seaside? What is your ideal vacation? A hill station or seaside? Over to you, Lovepreet.
I would say ideal would be mountains, because I tried going to mountains in north, because there are roads totally zigzag. Like there's one road which was 7 zigzags, and there I felt I want to just get out and vomit and pour everything whatever I had before to get onto the bus, and pour everything out. So I thought, like, I'll not reach there. I came halfway back. So my ideal would be to reach onto the Manalis and enjoy that view, enjoy that Maggie which you get on the mountains. So that would be my ideal one, because I was not able to achieve that.
Okay, thank you. Please give a round of applause. Now, I could notice so many things, like as Sajia was mentioning. Oh, first I thought Sajia smiling, but that's the display picture. All right. Now, what you were doing is you were closing your eyes while you were telling. Did you notice? I could see that you're closing your eyes. That means you're trying to recollect the memory. So we're going to talk about that. So now that you see, like, we don't want to like pick on a lot of flaws in him just because he said, yeah, I can manage that. But I want you to tell that there's so many things we can still improve upon. The two things would be the speech content and the gestures. Here, I could see your hand like, moving like this. So this could be also looked into. So, but today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some tips on the content, because that's where we often find a bit lacking. Now, what should be the content? If I get a question, how am I supposed to address that? So that's what I call is a prep technique. Now, when I say prep technique, it's actually an acronym. The same thing, the same question that I gave Lovepreet, we can actually break down into 4 points. The prep first is the main point. So when I give you the example, which one would you prefer? You had the first point. Yes, I prefer the mountains. I prefer the hill station. That's your main point. You struck straight away with that. You can always start off with, thank you very much for the question. Good evening, everybody. That's another way of starting to show that, yes, I'm in control. Think for a few seconds and then approach the question. When you think for a few seconds, you actually can organize your thoughts and let it flow much more smoother. Next is giving a reason, like why. Right, I told I like hill station. Why do I like hill station? You actually said you like hill station, but you talked something which is negative. That means I vomit and things like that. Those things are like deterrent from people to go. I like hill station probably because of the view. I love to see the sunrise from the mountains. It's really divine, something like that. Give a reason. You don't have to give one, you can give 2 reasons, 3 reasons, but remember your time is very limited. So 1 to 2 minutes in Toastmasters style. Example. Now, what you did was you gave an example. So what you gave is a personal story, and that's exactly what we want. When you give a personal story, people definitely fall for it. People love personal story because everyone here has a different life, different journey. Our life is very unique. So when we tell our unique story, everyone gets in, like, engaged to that, and they want to hear, okay, let me hear more. So this example can be a personal story. If you give examples from other stories, it's fine as long as you connect with that story. But I would say a personal story would be great. So when you think for that few seconds, think of 2 things. How am I going to justify this? Some people can also say, oh, I really love hill station because I am from Goa. And Goa, I'm living by the sea. Something, if I want to take vacation, why would I go to another place like which has sea? I would go to a hill station. So that's like reason. And last time when I went to Manali, oh my God, the first thing that enthralled me was the snowfall. I've never seen snowfall in my life. And that's the first time I could feel the minus 13-degree piercing my skin. And the roadside Maggie, wow, it was like heavenly, something like that. That is like example how the third part comes in, and people say, oh, okay, this person has gone to Manali minus 13. Ooh. I mean, in Malaysia, sitting here, anything less than 22 is like cold for us. So minus 13, like, wow. I'm sure Lisa will be like, what, 22? That's rubbish. We are struggling here with -5 and all. Then the next is the final point. We get everything back in a circle. So we want to get that the main point was, I love hill station. So coming to the main point, and therefore I would prefer to be on a hill station rather than a sea. So this is something called the prep technique. You find your main point, give a reason, give an example, and after all, give a point, a conclusion. Now, in the beginning, I mentioned that it's the bonsai version of a planned speech. So obviously, you have to keep in mind the OBCs. OBC means something else in India, I know, but this is the opening, body, and conclusion, or some people say closing. So opening, body, and conclusion. Remember, when you say that, yes, you can drastically change the opening. You don't have to say, yes, I like hill station. Say, I love sunrise. And that I only get the opportunity to see in a hill station. Oh, that's a different type of opening. However you want to do opening, it's perfect. As long as it catches the audience attention. The reasoning and the example, these two can come in the body and the other point can come in the conclusion. So with this, you can think of, I need to talk about find the main reason, find why I'm using that as a reason. 3, give a personal story or some examples, and then come back to the conclusion by emphasizing why I'm saying that. Your conclusion need not necessarily be a message, that same thing. That's why I love hill station. It could be a message for the people, like sometimes depending on the topic, yes, recycling is the way to go, or call to action. You must make sure you add a lot of water in your daily diet or something like that. You could do call to action, you could do a message, or it could be the same point you're emphasizing. right? Shall we try one more? Now I'm going to open it to the volunteer and I'm going to give you a teeny bit difficult. So is there anybody who wants to go for it? Do I see a hand or something? No, not Lovepreet again this time. He'll start hating me. Okay, yes, Srinivas, P. Srinivas, right. So now I'm going to give you a teeny bit
Yes.
different, and the topic is,
Okay.
it's a story continuation, right? So you were walking by the seaside
Okay.
and you find a
Okay.
bottle with a message. No, you don't have to say okay in it. Let me finish the question. You're walking by the seaside and you find a bottle with a message. What will be your next move? You're walking by the seaside and you find a message, a bottle with a message inside. What will you do? Over to you.
Okay. Thank you. First, I will open the bottle and read the message. What is it all about? And if the message is about the benefit of dealing with the problems or handling my wife, then definitely I will follow that message, because it's always difficult for me to handle my wife. So recently it happened that we both went to a cosmetic shop and I was having problem to choose the right sunscreen for my face. I just said my wife which one I should use. I am having problem to decide. She looked at me and said, "You cannot have a problem when the problem is your face." So, so if that message is helpful to me on how to dealing with my wife and other situations, then definitely I will say that this is the correct message for me. Thank you. Over to you.
Excellent, excellent. So now I would probably ask anyone to just mention like which part did he follow the prep technique? Did he have an opening body and conclusion? Anyone can just mention this if anyone wishes to answer this. The participants. Pooja, would you like to try?
Sure. I think as far as like the point was concerned, Mr. Srinivas did kind of mention that he would go and open the bottle, and your question had ended with like, what would he do after that? So that was definitely there. He mentioned the reason that he would want to see if the message was useful to him or whether it would be helpful to him in any way. The example he gave, though I wasn't able to connect it at first, then it kind of came back to he's trying to apply this to some of his own experiences. And as he saw the bottle, maybe he felt like this is a sign from the universe that's coming to help him overall. And then he ended it. I'm not sure if he ended it with the point, but I think the story was pretty interesting for all of us. I could see all of the faces having like different expressions while he went through the story.
Correct. Thank you very much, Pooja. Very well done. Now, opening body and conclusion. That is another thing I said, like, did he have that? Yes, the opening part was there. He went straight. And if I have to grade him amongst the communicators, like he will be a direct communicator, straight to the point, no beating around the bush. So yes, I'll just go take it up and open it. Some people will say, no, I want to watch. What is the type of bottle? He was like, no, I'm interested in the message. So he was pretty direct on that. Well done. In the body, he talked about like the what could be the content and if this is the content. So he used a lot of logic in his, if I use this. Now, one thing that he added, which I'm going to talk about now, is humor. Now, it is extremely difficult when you get a topic to add a humor in your 1 to 2 minute speech. And he successfully did that. Husband wife humor, I think sometimes we say it's cliched, but works sometimes depending on how you use it. So well done on that. Now, this is another thing I wanted to add on. When we do the OBC, you need not always just give example depending on the topic. Like this is a storytelling topic. Now, previously I said topic which is deciding a logical topic, like, this way or that way, why. Now, next one is a storytelling topic, and the third one I'll give you is a bit descriptive or an abstract, slightly abstract topic. So this is how you can see, using this prep technique, you can actually handle any topic that is thrown at you. But also mention that two things you can do: either you can add humor or you can use information. But if you're going for contests, humor always get an extra edge, because judges are also human and they tend to get teeny bit tilted when it's humor, and they feel, that was nice, and things like that. Right. So now the third person, and this is going to be the third example. Anybody wishes to? Don't worry, it's in Toastmasters, it's okay. Like, if you stop also, we will like support you and all. Is there anybody who wants to, who thinks, of course not the coordinators, the participants? Okay, Saji.
I can. Okay.
Right, great. So Sazia, you raised your hand. So now, Sazia, the topic for Sazia is love is blind. Love is blind, Sazia.
Thank you for the topic, Dr. So love is blind. It is a very well-known general words. Love is blind because we tend to love a person. It's unconditional. Love is unconditional. We do not put any conditions when we love someone, and that is why many people say love is blind, because this other person cannot understand why do you like this person. So the love could be between a husband and wife, or parents, or between a mother and daughter, mother and son, father and daughter, father and son. And we see sometimes that why do these parents, why do they tolerate so much from this kid? But we will never understand, because the love is blind, it's unconditional. So yes, thank you for the topic. Back to you, Dr. Singh.
Thank you very much. Now, this topic is not so easy, as you can see, because this topic needs emotion. You have to evoke some emotion. And one more thing I wanted to say is, you need not always agree with the topic. Just because I give you the topic, you can say, no, in my opinion, I don't think love is blind. Love can have its own logic and justification. Like, I'm talking just about this, but if anything is given a topic like this, you need not always go and follow the theme and say, no, I have to agree with this. So two things after the third topic that you need to carry with you is, one, certain topics, especially when it comes to love, caring, or sickness, you have to evoke an emotion from the audience. So apart from the prep and OBC, so there are three things comes in: the logic or emotion, logic and emotion, humor, and information. So these are like things that you can add on in your topic when you are actually giving a table topic or impromptu speaking. Right? So I think you guys are quite like getting it. So I'm quite happy that the prep technique is working. So maybe like I'll move on to the next one. Now, when we talk about table topics, when we talk about, okay, this one, before I go to the elevator speech, I want to talk to you about the Toastmasters. In Toastmasters, we get 1 to 2 minutes of table topics. We call it impromptu speaking. Here, the same thing as we do prep, and we talk about the OBC, evoking emotions, getting humor, or putting an information throughout. That is Toastmaster style. But in real life, sometimes, as you said, some of your software engineers, some of you have your own projects that you want to like throw in and do a pitch and things like that. And that's where the impromptu speaking comes in. You get to meet someone. Let's say the elevator speech, as they say, is you get to meet someone for 30 to 60 seconds inside an elevator. Let's say a CEO or a big shot. And there you have to convey your thoughts. Now the question is, how do you do that? How do you convey your thoughts? Now, I know this acronym actually is catered for me because this is IVH. So IVH usually stand for intraventricular hemorrhage. That is my medical term, but I remember it by that way. But I'm going to tell you the difference first. In an elevator speech, now elevator is also same as the lift. It depends on which side of the Atlantic you are from. If you're from the US, they'll use elevator. If you're from the UK, they'll use lift. It's like, windshield, windscreen thing. So if you enter into an elevator and you see that, oh, this is the big boss who has a lot of money to invest, and I can put my pitch to him. So and the time to take in from the ground floor to reach the, say, the 10th floor or 12th floor is around 30 seconds. That's how, how do you connect? Now, first is, of course, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself, share your vision with one or two examples. Like, okay, I have this product, and or don't sound like a salesperson too much there. You can talk about, like, hello, how are you? And then I'm so and so, and oh, I saw you giving that speech the other day, or I saw you giving that keynote, or I read your book, and things that, like, that's how you introduce yourself. Share about, okay, it's similar lines, I have done this. Share your vision, share your work related stuff, what you want to pitch, and of course create a hook. Create a hook or an interest, or I can do this, and I'm currently working on this, and this is actually will be launched very soon. Now all this punch together in 30 seconds to 1 minute, or what I was initially talking about, the half a minute or just a minute. Now in that, it's not a Toastmaster thing. It's your life thing. That means you want to improve on your connections. The hook is not just putting an interest in the other person's mind, but also create a connection, so that that person might say, okay, can you just give me a number? I'll connect with you. So this is the elevator speech. This is the example where you can use impromptu speaking outside the Toastmasters arena. Right, so these are the three things that you can use: introduction, the vision, or share your vision, share your products, and finally create an interest or connection. I'll give you a very simple example. We have one of our Toastmasters here in our division. He's an engineer by profession, and he has created a display light, a timer light. So whenever the district director comes in, he manages to catch him in the thing and say, okay, like he carries the thing. Okay, I've created this light. This is the model, and I mean, it can like change everything. It can actually, like, you can control it through the phone, and it's through Bluetooth. That was the first time he told. Second time, we had a club officer training here in our place in the campus, in Manipal campus. The district director came, and I could see that they have arranged a meeting to see the demonstration of the timer lights. So you see that one portion, or that whatever 1 minute that person has told, that okay, during one of the contests, I'm creating this, maybe I can give it for a lesser price, and if the clubs are interested, and things like that. So that's his speech. That was his extra thing that he can do. And then he got an appointment from the district director and the other members of the trio to get that like that meeting for that demo. And I was like, wow, good job. I mean, he's one of the area directors in our division. So I really told him, like, awesome. Said, still, I need to make some tweaks and all that, because they don't want Bluetooth, they want a connection. So I said, that's great. So that is something that you need to work on. You need to work on the elevator speech. So maybe not right now, but every participant here should write about yourself, maybe later, after you finish off the first session as well. You write down your elevator speech. Like, if I get an opportunity to meet the person who can create an opportunity for me, how do I tell about myself and my vision in that 60 seconds? Keep it ready. I know you saying like, oh, that's cheating, right? That's not elevator speech. That one I already planned. Yes, you plan your elevator speech. It's okay to plan that because you might get that opportunity. You may not be able to figure it out. Remember what you have to do. Keep the prep technique, OBC, and create your elevator speech. Right. I'm not sure about the timing. Do I have time? Thank you, Lisa.
Could
So-
you give a participant one chance to do an elevator pitch just so we can see and you
Sure.
could give some feedback
Sure.
before we close?
Sure. I mean, I wasn't sure like if a participant, but I'm totally open. If any participant, yes, Ragini, you look like, thank you for listening. That's a very concentrated listening. So would you try to give an elevator speech? Mind you, you can always have the facility to upgrade and refine it. This is just, yes, go for it.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand, like, I have to speak about myself with a vision, or is it like,
First of all, may I know what kind of work do you do?
I mean, I'm a project manager.
Excellent. Excellent. You have a brilliant project and you need some funding. And I'm the billionaire. You just happen to meet me, like, I'm just going from my office building to the car park. And you just met me in the office building. And my office building to car park, it takes 30 to 45 seconds for me to walk. And I don't walk very fast. So you have that 45 seconds to convince me or to create an interest that I would say, okay, Ragini, can we connect? That's all.
Okay. Maybe give me a half minute. I'll listen.
Sure. If there's anyone else also wants to attempt, because I still have in the Q&A, I still have around 9 minutes as per my time. Meanwhile, if there's any other questions, I'm quite happy to take. And I think that's basically it. So while I'm giving Ragini her time to, I'll just summarize this. I'll leave her for thinking. In take-home points, I would say that impromptu speaking, we do it every time in our daily life. But the difference is when you have to do in front of a lot of people, that's when you start having self-doubts. Do not have self-doubt. Think of the prep and OBC. Whenever you're thrown a topic, any topic, think of like, what is the point I want to support this, or what is the point I have to talk about? Then logic, give a reasoning. Why am I saying this? And then talk about an example. And remember, personal example is always best. And finally, the last point would be a message, either agree, disagree, and or a call to action. Make sure it has an opening, body, and a conclusion. And finally, for professional approach, especially now we're going to have a quick demo. So that will be an elevator speech. So that is like outside the Toastmaster arena. So the question answer, and you can connect me through LinkedIn. I'm always like, if you have any things to ask, right? Yes. So Ragini, should I take Sazia's question? So you might get some extra time as well.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Sazia, your question.
Sir, so how many words should how many words or sentences can a 30 or 40 minutes 40 seconds have maximum?
See, the usual conversational speed for any person is around 140, around 130 to 140 words per minute. But I'm sure like when you write your speech later, you'll have a session where you write your speech. So what I do, especially when I'm mentoring someone, I give them a paragraph which is around 100, 150 words, and I tell them to read, and I time themselves, and I time them. And when they read, like, let's say 140 words in 1 minute, so I know that, okay, so if you have a 5-minute speech to write, Well, you can just write somewhere between 5 to 7 minutes. Just write somewhere between 800, 900 words for a 5 to 7 minute speech. So that would definitely cover the time management part. But in case of table topics or impromptu, I don't think really you have time to really measure the words, because that's like we actually look into the timer and go according to the lights. So when it's green light, I know, okay, fine, I've done 1 minute. When I see amber or yellow, okay, 1.5 minutes, time to cut down, cut down, cut down, say, come to the conclusion. And by the time red means I should stop. In contest, they give you 30 seconds extra, but you should, the moment you see yellow or amber, you should know that, okay, time to wind up. I've given my examples. Some people can go on and on, but that's when you need to have self-restraint and say, I've given my reasoning, I've given my example, time to cut short and hit the conclusion. Because if I talk too much, number one, I'm diluting the subject. Number two, I'm going overtime, and in contest, even 1 second means tata, as in disqualified. Right? So wording. Now, if you're giving a humorous, then you go even slower, because it's like you need people to respond, and when people are laughing, you don't really talk that time. Right. So this one I think will be dealt. I think Raghu has planned, and Ravindra, that they would be. Yes, Ragini is giving me hints with some sound that okay, enough. So you will be learning more about that speech crafting, how to craft a speech in the later educational session. Thanks. Okay, yes, Ragini, thank you for signaling. Tung tung 2 times you did. Okay, over to you.
Okay.
Hang on.
Let me.
Let
Okay.
me time you.
Yeah,
Now
sure.
this one, I'm really gonna time you. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, sir. Let me introduce myself. I'm Ragini. I'm the project manager for the retail industry. Currently, there is a huge business problem. There are 3,000 users that got affected, and none of the operation work is being happening because the tooling is not working. That's a major issue. I see almost 1 billion of budget is already overconsumed, and none of the projects are moving forward. So I would propose ServiceNow as a tooling uh, to resolve this huge business issue. And I did a lot of research, and there are a lot of industries which are already using it, and there's a lot of research that already being done. And I can give on details in our next meeting if I could resolve this.
Okay. I've reached my car already, but Ragini, you never told me. Are you from this company, or I have no idea who you are? You said you're a project manager, but I don't know who you are. So maybe yeah, next time we'll see. Okay, bye. So you have to introduce yourself, and do not give so much things like, oh, I'm a project manager and I'm in your company. I don't know if you have seen me. Oh, really? Hello. You have to give time for the other person to respond. It's
Okay.
not like you just go ahead and then I'll say, oh yeah, I think I've seen you. You're in the 5th floor, right? Yeah. Actually, we were thinking that there were 3,000 projects that we have 3,000 something you mentioned actually, and they are getting a lot of cloggings is happening in the system. I thought of a system that can ease the clog. Then say, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, so if you later, if you can find time, like maybe I'll be there in the 5th floor, or if you want, I'll come to the admin block on the 10th floor. That's it. You don't have to give so much info, just enough info. What is the problem? How I can help you.
Okay.
So that is just to evoke an interest. You do not give me entire story. It's the sneak peek, like the trailer of a movie, and not even that big a trailer, just 45 seconds. So yeah, I guess you get an idea, but also keep in mind that the conversation has to be there. It cannot be like, that person is just like you're going and you're just machine gun. You're like giving the info. Right, but very, very good attempt, Ragini. Thank you. Please give her a round of applause. Right, I think I have another couple of minutes for Q&A. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take. Otherwise, Ravindra will be taking over from me.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Tom.
Okay.
And I would request everybody to unmute and give Toastmaster Som a big round of applause. And I'm super fan of Dr. Som, and this is my second time that I happen to be part of his session, and it's really amazing.
Thank you
I'm
very much.
sure I'm sure you changed their perceptions, right? And their faces itself is witnessing, right? So how they how their perception before this session about impromptu speech and after this session, for sure. And this kind of impromptu sessions are very important. Husbands like me, of course, to deal with my wife. And thank you so much for your valuable session.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Now they will be going into the breakout session.
Yeah.
Do we have a debrief after that, or do I end my part here as well?
You can end your part here. So before that, I would just like to present this certificate to you, Dr. Som.
Okay.
Thank you for presenting the session, and I'm sure it has helped all of us, including me. I've learned some new techniques, and I would want to get a hand of that presentation so that
Oh.
we can learn about the techniques more. Thank you very much
I'll
for
send
being
it to
here.
you. Yep.
This is our token of appreciation, and virtually, probably one day when I will meet you physically, we'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I'd love a copy of it also. I'm actually doing the same speech tonight, and this helped me so much. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very
Welcome,
much.
Lisa.
With that note, I will stop recording here. And